In a small village, nestled in a valley that bloomed with impossible color each spring, there stood an old apple tree. Its branches, gnarled and wise, reached for the sky like an old man's arms. And beneath this tree, a story of love, loss, and waiting unfolded, year after year. This is the story of Ilara and Liam, and the promise made under the apple tree. Their story began when they were just children, chasing butterflies and each other through the tall grass. Liam, with his unruly brown hair and eyes, the color of the summer sky, and Ilara, with a laugh that sounded like wind chimes and hair like spun gold. The apple tree was their kingdom. They'd climb its sturdy branches, sharing secrets whispered so softly only the leaves could overhear. One sun-drenched afternoon, Liam carved their initials into the trunk, enclosed within a lopsided heart. E&L, he declared, his small face serious. Forever, we'll meet here every spring, Ilara. The day the first blossom opens. Promise. Ilara, her cheeks pink like the buds above them, had placed her small hand over his. Promise. And so, the tradition began. As children, they'd meet with pockets full of marbles and stories of scraped knees. As teenagers, their conversations deepened, filled with dreams of the world beyond their valley and the shy, unspoken feelings that bloomed between them just as surely as the flowers on the tree. The scent of apple blossoms became the scent of their shared history, of a love that grew as steadily and quietly as the tree itself. One year, under a canopy of white and pink, Liam's eyes held a new gravity. He was a young man now, strong and determined. He held a small, hand-carved wooden bird in his palm. I have to leave, Ilara, he said, his voice quiet. There's a war brewing on the horizon, and I have to do my part. Ilara's heart felt as if it had been encased in ice. The world outside their peaceful valley, a place of headlines and distant rumbles, had finally reached them. She took the bird, its smooth surface cool against her trembling fingers. Will you come back? She whispered, the question a fragile plea. Liam took her hands in his. I will, he vowed, his gaze unwavering. I'll come back to you. I'll be here. The day the first blossom opens, I promise. He leaned in and, for the first time, kissed her. It was a kiss that tasted of sweet apples and salty tears, a promise sealed not with words, but with a hope so fierce it felt like it could defy armies. The first spring, he was gone. Ilara kept their promise. She walked to the tree, her heart a tangled knot of hope and fear. The first blossom had just unfurled, a delicate whisper of white against the blue sky. She sat beneath the branches, clutching the small wooden bird, and waited. She waited until the sun dipped below the mountains, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Liam did not come, but a letter did. It spoke of muddy trenches and a sky filled with smoke instead of stars. It ended with, think of me under a tree. I'll be home next spring. I promise. So, she held on to that promise. The next spring arrived, and each year, Ilara made the pilgrimage. The village began to whisper, poor Ilara, they'd say, still waiting for a ghost. Her hair, once spun gold, began to show threads of silver. Her youthful face softened, etched with the gentle lines of time and patience. Yet, her eyes never lost their hopeful gleam. She would sit beneath the tree, now heavy with blossoms, and talk to him. She told him about the changing seasons, about village gossip, about the new children who now played where they once had. She read his old letters aloud, their paper worn thin and soft from countless readings. The tree became her confidant, the rustling of its leaves a comforting reply. Decades passed. The war had ended long ago. Soldiers had returned, but Liam was not among them. The world changed, but for Ilara, time was marked by the blooming of a single tree. She was an old woman now, her steps slower, her back a little more bent, but her ritual remained. One spring morning, she woke to the familiar scent on the breeze. It was time. She put on her favorite shawl, picked up her walking stick, and made her way to the hill. The apple tree stood, as majestic as ever, a glorious explosion of white and pink. The heart with their initials was still there. the carving soft and weathered by time, a faint scar on the ancient bark. She sat in her usual spot, leaning her back against the familiar, rough trunk. She closed her eyes, the sun warm on her face, and held the wooden bird, its shape now a permanent part of her hand. She wasn't expecting him anymore, not in the way she used to. The waiting was no longer about his return, but about honoring the love they had shared, about keeping her half of a promise that had defined her life. She must have drifted off, lulled by the buzzing of bees and the gentle whisper of the wind through the blossoms. When she opened her eyes, a shadow fell over her, so looked up a vision a little blurry. A man stood before her. He was old, his face a map of a long, hard life, his hair as white as the blossoms above. He leaned heavily on a cane, and his clothes were those of a traveler. His eyes, though faded, were the color of a summer sky she had never forgotten. He knelt slowly, painfully, in front of her. He didn't speak. Instead, he reached out a trembling hand and gently touched the wooden bird she was clutching. A single tear traced a path down his weathered cheek. "Elara," he whispered, his voice raspy with age and emotion. Elara's own eyes filled with tears, blurring his image into a gentle watercolor. All the years of waiting, of hoping, of grieving, culminated in this single, impossible moment. She couldn't find her voice. She simply raised her free hand and touched his face, her fingers tracing the lines that time and hardship had carved there. "Liam," she finally breathed, the name a prayer on her lips. "You kept your promise." He smiled, a sad, beautiful smile that lit up his entire face. "I told you I would," he said. "Eat. Just. It took me a little longer than I thought." And there, under the canopy of the apple tree, surrounded by the blossoms that had witnessed their beginning, their separation, and now their reunion, two old souls, bound by a childhood promise, finally found their way back to each other. The promise was not broken, merely delayed, held safe by the enduring heart of an apple tree and the unwavering love of a woman who never stopped believing. Thank you so much for watching this story unfold with us. If it touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories that celebrate the enduring power of love and hope. We'll see you next time.